Good evening, everyone. My name is Elizabeth, the Education Coordinator for Marlene's Market and Deli. Tonight's special guest that we have with us, and it's always an honor, we have Dr. Darrin Starkey, naturopathic doctor and VP of Education and Training for Trace Minerals, one of my favorite electrolyte companies. And he's speaking on the topic of replenish and hydrate with trace minerals. Thank you so much, Dr. Starkey, for being here with us this evening.
No, it's my pleasure. It really is. I wish I could be there live and in person, but we're going to take advantage of this opportunity to for Zoom, and hopefully those that aren't with us tonight will get an opportunity to watch it on their own time. And I'm going to share some information tonight. I'm going to treat everybody as though they have never heard of, electrolytes before, and we're going to start with the basics. Okay, so one of the things I wanted to do first, let me see if I can share my screen really quick. How do I? So really quick, let me see if I can, the first thing I love to do is I love to bring the basics into it as to what trace, what electrolytes are, what form they come in. When we talk about macro electrolytes or micro electrolytes, what are we talking about? So I love to talk about what we're doing to ourselves when we think about electrolytes. And with the very definition, let me share this. If you could see the screen right here, I'm going to show you the very definition of death. Now, in the nutritional industry right now, we're talking about agelessness, right? But the very definition of death is not when our heart stops beating. When you stop to think about it, and if you can see that electrical conductivity in that light bulb, it's not when our heart stops beating when they consider us dead, but when all the electrical impulse in our brain cease. That is when they pronounce us dead. So we're nothing but a very sophisticated machine ran off electrical impulse. And by the way, what's in that cup right there is alfalfa, the grand master of all land plants. As far as its root system goes, it can grow anywhere from 25 to 75 feet into the Earth's surface, therefore taking advantage of that soil that has not been disturbed or disrupted. Now, here's what I want to do too, is that when we say electrolytes, what are electrolytes? Well, again, in this case, the first thing we have to talk about is minerals, okay? They're the conductors of electricity within our bodies, and there's a whole system, but typically when we stop to think about the macro minerals, these macro minerals are elements that are needed by the body in milligram format, hundreds of milligrams in some cases. But when we talk about the micro electrolytes that we really don't stop to think about often, these are those minerals found in the soil. And yet at the same time, they are very important to where we should be getting our natural electrolytes from. And so what I'd like to do really quick is show you, I'm going to take that same positive negative charge, and I'm going to put it into fruits and vegetables that we've been told our whole lives to eat because they're healthy for us, right? But what I want to show is that as you pay close attention to that light bulb, if I put this positive negative charge into a banana, I get an electrical response. How about a potato? I get an electrical response. How about an orange? And you can start seeing that light. How about a squash? And we see the light again. So how about the apple a day that kept the doctor away? See it faintly coming on. So here's my question. When it comes to our electrolytes, where should we be getting them? And it should be coming from our food and our water. But here's one of those key points. My question first is, were we ever designed to live on bottled, filtered, distilled RO water? And I think we all know the answer to that. We were designed to live on groundwater, spring water, creek water, river water, but I know of no river or creek in this nation that people feel comfortable going and dipping a cup and saying, there's my minerals, right? Most of us don't trust the water coming from our taps because we don't trust the cities in which we live. And that's a whole nother topic. But here's my point. We choose water that has been filtered and void of, of course, removing all contaminants, but we're also removing all the minerals too. So basically that water is dead. And I can show you that right here by just putting it into filtered water. There's no light, there's no conduction. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to take what we're best known for, which is the concentrated trace mineral drops. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put in just 1 drop into this water. Oh, I cheated. That was 2 drops. But you see how much brighter that is compared to the foods in which we're eating. So in this case, what I wanted to share is that it all starts with the foundation. We're only as healthy as our soil is fertile. So there's the basics. This is what starts that foundational approach to our electrolytes, because every cell in our body needs them. Yet when it comes to macro electrolytes, and by the way, let me do this really quick. I want to take 1 more cup of water and I'm going to show you that there's no conduction in it. Okay. Let's do that again. That one had just a little bit. I'm going to share. So here's just purified water, distilled water. As you can see, there's no conductivity. And I'm going to take a tablet of ours, a product that we call the electrolyte stamina tablets, right? And the reason why I want to do this is that typically when we think about tablets, hard to break down, hard to assimilate, hard to absorb. That's what we typically, think about when it comes to a tablet. So I'm going to take this tablet and I'm going to drop it in that cold water. And we're going to give it about 30 seconds. Can we do that? And then we'll go back to it. But in this case, the product that we wanted to talk about tonight, and by the way, this is our new packaging. Okay. This is our new branded packaging. And I wanted everybody to see it because oftentimes when it comes to, new branding, new changes, the end consumer, and Elizabeth can verify this, the end consumer thinks that we've changed everything, even the product within the packaging, and that's not the case. Other than, let me share this. So this is our new packaging on the power packs, and we've tried to clean it up for you, okay? Even the size of the packets themselves. So with that being said, let's talk about the electrolytes again. So when we're talking micro, those are the trace minerals. Those are the micro electrolytes. And when we talk about macro, for some reason in our society, we have this notion that more is always better, right? And yet, I think by nature, less is always best. We're taught that when we look at what's available in our foods, our seeds, our nuts, our grains, our fruits, our vegetables, and we see the quantities of some of these electrolytes. And they're not in massive amounts. They're in very small amounts, but at the same time, as we consume, we, of course, help that balancing process throughout the day. So my first question is that those electrolytes are ions that the body can, of course, distribute, and every cell in the human body needs them in order to function. So what oftentimes is concerning to me is that when in the field of electrolytes, typically our electrolyte season is the summertime, okay? Early spring, all through the summer, and then we give them up when winter starts because it gets cold, right? So here's what I want you to think about for a minute, is that we lose about 2.5 to 3 cups of body fluid a day, whether we like it or not, through respiration, perspiration, urination, and defecation. Not to mention that time of the month for women and pregnancy. I think that those are areas that, of course, need to be addressed in adding more electrolytes to your, during your monthly cycle or during pregnancies that I think sometimes, women suffer because of it. And yet, here's what I also know. It's amazing to me during the wintertime. And by the way, if you go and research this, there are more dehydration cases during the wintertime than there than there are during the summertime. Because think about this, when it gets cold, we stop reaching for fluid. We're cold, so we bundle up. So we turn up the heat in our homes, we turn up the heat in our vehicles, we turn up the heat in our offices, and yet at the same time, we start to perspire. Of course, hopefully we're still, proper urination and defecation, right? But it's not until we start to experience that spasm or that twitch. Could be in the corner of the eye, could be in the eye, on the face. Now, here's the question I have to ask as well. I like to take everything back to a vehicle. And I know that this probably isn't popular because most of our consumers are more nurturers, right? Mothers than they are men working on a vehicle. But here's my question. When a car engine light goes on your dashboard, what do? We typically let somebody know, and then we take it into the shop and we have it checked and adjusted or fixed immediately. But I think we are the greatest physician for our own well-being, right? We know our health better than anybody. When a check engine light goes on in our dashboard, our internal dashboard, what do? We typically neglect it. We, ignore it. We push it aside for weeks, months, and sometimes even years. And then when it finally comes to, when it creates pain, I think that, we're such a reactive society. It's not till it's pain oriented that we start to ask the right questions. So when I say that little spasm or twitch that we neglect, I think that's an engine light. And remember, going back to our little demonstration here, if I take all the spark plugs off your car engine, what do you have, right? You have a beautiful piece of metal. It's worthless. But here's that tablet, by the way. So within just a few minutes, whether it be in a tablet form or a liquid form or a powdered form, you understand what trace minerals is trying to do. It's like putting that spark plug back onto these internal engines and putting that life back into our health. And it's that basic, it's that simple. Yet when we start talking about these power packs, in this case, we have 16 flavors for you. Okay. So we try to make it across the board. If you can't find a flavor that you enjoy, let us know what that flavor is that we don't have. We love listening to our consumer base. We'll bring it before our of course, we'll bring it to our what am I trying to think of? The board in which, make all the decisions on changes within our products, product development board. And by the way, on that note, let me share this thought with you. For those of you that have already experienced the power packs before, here's an electrolyte solution that has 1,200 milligrams of vitamin C in it. Okay, so we know that the competitor, and again, I don't want to go down that road, but we would just want you to know that we have 1,200 milligrams of vitamin C as compared to 1,000 milligrams. And so what I love about that, especially during the wintertime, is that we can put these power packs into a warm solution and use it like a cold and flu sip and use it year round as compared to just seasonal, and help defend, I think in this case, keep ourselves healthier throughout the entire season and year without getting into a state in which our bodies are letting us know they're in trouble. There have been some formula changes with this, by the way, and I want to bring those up really quick. So we still, of course, have the 1,200 milligrams of vitamin C. We've added vitamin D and bless you, Elizabeth. We've added vitamin D. That's one of those vitamins that, again, whether it be a discrepancy in our food stuff or a deficiency in our diets or our supplements, we wanted to add that back in from an immune standpoint. We added some riboflavins to it. Okay. We also changed the folic acid to a folate. Okay. So it's a methylfolate that's now in it so that it gives us a better support, better absorption. Um, you know, we didn't, well, when we started research this, I don't know, there's a gene mutation that is quite, it's estimated that 30 to 40% of our population is dealing with this gene mutation. It's called the MTHFR. Okay. MTHFR. So this doesn't allow our bodies, this mutation doesn't allow our bodies to take folic acid and convert it into that methyl form, and therefore it's stored in the liver. And sometimes that can affect our digestive disorders, or of course cause digestive disorders, um, immune disorders. And one that we're always very cautious of is mental challenges, depression, anxiety. So that was a big one that our consumer base was very it's been a wonderful experience listening to our consumer base that continues to educate us. So thank you for that. Another change, of course, is also to the vitamin B12. Instead of the cobalamin, we've changed it to the methyl form of B12, the methylcobalamin. So there's another one that we were listening to. I find it interesting, though. I will say this. A lot of these changes oftentimes come because of influencers, whether they're, in our industry or out of our industry. Sometimes they bring about some changes to the way that our society thinks, even though there's science backing some of these influencers, that doesn't support some of the things that they say. We were, of course, very adherent to this in the information. So is to the reason why we changed it. Now, we also changed the magnesium oxide to magnesium malate. Another big change, we changed the zinc from a zinc oxide to a zinc citrate. And the last one was chromium. We changed it from a back to the picolinate. And even though oftentimes some of these changes, you have to understand, what I love about the end consumer, we oftentimes want the most quality for the cheapest price, and that's hard to do in the nutritional industry, to get what you want. But we tried to, of course, the volume that we sell of this, it made sense to those changes. And also some of these forms of elements aren't recognized around the world. So we are a worldwide company that want to support your families wherever they're at throughout the world, and be able to get these products in their possession if they live outside the country that doesn't allow some of these forms of minerals to be sold in those other nations. So those were some of the reasons why we changed. Now, of course, we, instead of there's one gram of total sugar. We try to keep it low, as low as possible, but we do have, of course, sugar-free. We have 2 flavors in sugar-free for you. We also, of course, have the keto powder as well. So for those that are on keto diets, we've made it available in a format that will meet their needs as well. So those are those changes to the new Power Pack. You'll be seeing that coming out. We hope that you'll enjoy that experience. And for those of you that are, that do have, in fact, that MTHFR, we hope that you enjoy this to its fullest, and be able to share that with your family as well. So there's the Power Packs. Now, again, everybody always asks, what's my favorite flavor? And that's I love them all. I really do. But every one of my family members, all my children, all have their own flavors. My daughters are, of course, they lean towards the blueberry pomegranate and the raspberry, where my boys lean towards the lemon lime and the orange and the grape. And it seems to be that way throughout our society is that men gravitate towards the citrus, women gravitate for the berries, but I like the watermelon. And I like the watermelon because I'm a watermelon connoisseur and I eat it only during the season. But when we get into the winter time, I still enjoy my watermelon. So I enjoy the taste of being able to put my electrolytes back in, even if it's warm. I love to use it as a cold and flu. I use it year round, but I love my watermelon year round. So that's where I get my fix on the taste of watermelon is my watermelon power pack. So hopefully one of these experience, and remember this, we want all of our consumers to understand every one of these products that we talk about in the trace mineral line comes with a money back guarantee. Okay. We want you to put our money where our mouth is. We want you to have a great experience. We know that money is tight. So why should we keep your money if your body does, if you're not experiencing those changes? So please put it to the test. We want an empty box back, whether it be a box, a bottle, a liquid, a powder, an effort, whatever you're taking. Please keep the receipt from Marlene's. And I know that you have some amazing guarantees as well, but we're here to back that up for the consumer so that, again, there's no questions to you experiencing a change. So that is the new power packs. Any questions? Elizabeth, do you have any questions that come to your attention while we were going through that? Okay. So I went through and I should have brought that up in the first place. I'll let that go through again. The folate, the B12s, the different changes in the magnesium, zincs, chromium, and the boron. Okay. Now, some will say, just really quick, let me just throw this out. Some will say, well, why'd you change for the boron amino acid chelate? Why would you change that to boric acid? Well, what's fascinating is that in some of the European countries, they don't recognize that boron amino acid chelate. They identify with the boric acid. So that's the reason why we made that change, so we can put them into the European countries as well. So we also, of course, talked about the B12s, the sugar-frees. By the way, those sugar-frees, they come in a citrus, which is really good, and an orange. So orange is one of our number one selling. It's an orange mango, but orange is our number one selling power pack as far as flavor. So we stayed pretty close to that so that all could enjoy that. We also have a new flavor, a couple of new flavors, by the way, on our Zerolytes. If you're not familiar with our Zerolytes, some of these, of course, those of you that have been in the industry for a long time, when you look at the power packs, they're oftentimes, also compared to Emergency. And then you have this Zerolyte concept that is, if you do your homework on it, or if you're already familiar with it, Element. But we put our own twist to it, okay? And that twist always comes right down to the concentrates. We don't want to leave anything behind. So we put the concentrates as a foundational support to all of our products. And remember, those micro electrolytes, those micro trace minerals, those micronutrients, they help conduct, but they also help activate, regulate, and assimilate our other nutrients. Okay. So when we put them in conjunction, so everybody right now, and I shouldn't say everybody, those that are looking for that 2-to-1 ratio, sodium to potassium. So on this product, you get 1,000 milligrams of sodium. And remember this is real salt. We want you to know that it's not refined. It's real salt, right? It has that full spectrum and all of those electrolytes in conjunction with that sodium. And oftentimes, again, when we say sodium, we instantly think about chloride, right? Sodium chloride. Those are the two ions that are typically. And if you stop to think about that for a minute as to why that is in nature, remember, chloride is the most negatively charged element in the human body. Every cell in the human body needs it in order to function. It also, of course, helps maintain gut function. The older we get, the less our bodies produce hydrochloric acid. So they oftentimes put us on HCl, but this is the natural form of chloride that helps maintain and sustain that proper gut function. And if you stop to think about that for a minute, that's 80% of your immune system right there by itself. So that natural chloride that you'll find in this product, as it says, you'll see it on the label, from sea salt, right? That will be that support and that sustaining support for all ages. But at the same time, I want to take it a step further. Chloride helps keep your joints and tendons youthful or agile, which is pretty important to the aging population, right? But if you really stop to dig deep enough with chloride, I think that chloride is one of Mother Nature's hormonal regulators. And who doesn't need that today? So chloride is not the bad guy. Neither is sodium. And oftentimes the two of them, now when it comes to refined salt, you know, that which you would find in table salt, absolutely. You know, and again, I'm not saying to avoid it. I would just say to you, make sure that you look at the ingredients and what it's, how far it's been refined. I know that right now people ask the question every day on Celtic salt or Himalayan salt and black salt and red salt, and salt is becoming a very popular, nutrient. And well, it should be, because it's one of the most important macro electrolytes we have in our bodies. And by the way, if you look at some of the research that's out there, especially for those individuals that have a low, these individuals that eat a very low sodium diet to begin with, no processed foods, but they're still working out, or that they're working out on a diet like that. Remember this: your body, it's been estimated that we can lose up to 7 grams of sodium in a workout. So if you look at what sodium does and what the roles in which it plays to help keep that water-based balance in our bodies, keep, of course, that electrolyte balance. Remember, these electrolytes work in conjunction with one another. If we have a deficiency in one, within a matter of time. So one of the elements that is always associated with sodium is potassium. If you have high potassium, typically you're going to have low sodium, and vice versa. So it's important that we keep that proper balance. Now, some will say, well, I know the RDA on potassium, and depending on what research you look at, it could be, 3,400 milligrams of potassium in a day. But in the nutritional industry, in a potassium by itself product, right, the most we can put in there is 99 milligrams, because anything over 99 milligrams is considered pharmaceutical. So that's why you'll see on many of these, single potassium products on the shelf, 99 milligrams. But when we put it into an electrolyte format like Zerolyte, we can put 500 milligrams in there in conjunction with that supportive sodium and magnesium, and of course that full spectrum and balance of the trace mineral in conjunction with it all. And to me, that's one of those perfect balance, a great way to help support our workouts, keeping that proper balance throughout our workouts. So the question that always is the case is, when it comes to sodium, do I need that much? Well, only and of course, there's some pretty good indicators when we're not getting enough, and it comes right down to, of course, possibly that night cramp, muscle spasms, twitches, headaches. So, but at the same time, what's associated typically with sodium intake is high blood pressure. And remember, if you live on a high processed diet, chances are you're getting the wrong form of sodium. And that's probably why you have issues with the blood, as compared to that full balanced, electrolyte approach with that 2-to-1 ratio with potassium. Of course, I know that many of us are already taking a multivitamin that is loaded with calcium and magnesium and all the other electrolytes in conjunction with this. But again, this is just our way to approach, especially those that are, working out heavily throughout the season, throughout the year, and need that added support. And this is one of those products that can do it for you. By the way, the flavors on that, as you can probably see, I love how they put, and of course it's true, salty watermelon, salty orange, salty berry lemonade, and the new one is the mango. And if you haven't tried the mango, have to try the mango. That's a great, I mean, again, we're listening to our consumer base. That seems to be a really popular one amongst our female athletes. That was one that they had suggested. So we listened and it came out great. They did a great job in that. One that I wanted to touch on really quick. We did touch on the sodium, potassium chloride, magnesium, coconut water's in that one, by the way, as well, and the concentrates. Now, we do have some other products that typically, for those that are familiar with the different IV type products on the marketplace, this is our approach to the, our hydration IV. This one has more sugar for those that, of course, have a heavy workout. That sugar is important to keep that energy level as compared to the zero light that has no sugar. Okay. So these are two products that you can use depending on what your needs are. That approach to, again, one of these packets, when you stop to look at the sugar dosage, again, these are for our high endurance individuals that like that heavier sugar load to help maximize that energy burn during their workouts. Okay. We have the 40,000 volts, the Endure, and the no muscle cramps. Now, here's what I want you to know. I love our society when we focus on specific elements. Like, for instance, when we start talking about muscle cramps, oftentimes we hear magnesium, right? But here's my question. When, you show me in nature where you can eat a seed, a nut, a grain, a fruit, or a vegetable, or a piece of protein that just has magnesium in it, or just has iron, or just has, potassium, and it doesn't exist. So what we love about these products is that we put, the emphasis onto those macro electrolytes. And with these liquids, you can turn anything into and I don't want to call it a sports support. Okay. I don't want to do that. You don't have to be an athlete. And by the way, you can be a professional couch potato and still need your electrolytes every single day, because I then ask the question, when's the last time you quit breathing since you left your mother's womb? And I don't think of course, there are some really cool stories that some have shared with me as to their, out of body experience, which, hey, but they're still here living and breathing, right? My point to that is that with these liquids, even though some of, we've got, like I said, 16 different flavors of the power pack, there are those consumers that still want no sugar whatsoever, and they want to do it on their own accord. They want to put it in their own, whether that be a smoothie or their own protein shakes that they make, whatever that is, or just adding it to water. The 40,000 volts in the Endure and the no muscle cramps are great products that you can put into your waters or your fresh squeezed juices, and turn your own juices into a natural sports drink and give it to at all ages, to our children. Now, I do love our nurturers. I really do. You guys are amazing. And I love some of these soccer moms that love to put these liquid into, flavored ice cubes for their soccer team. So they put it in their water before they have, or they even suck on them, right? And there's your electrolytes all right there. They make it enjoyable for their children, and at the same time, they don't suffer from any, muscle cramps at the end of the day. Great. Hey, I'm always learning, and I for any of you that are willing to share your other recipes with us as to what you're doing to help maximize this for our aging parents or our aging children or our young children alike, one thing that I always get the question on as far as the power packs, can I give them to a child? I love the fact that they're in a powdered format. So you can quarter them, you can half them. I'm a huge proponent, especially when it comes to our children. I don't do anything at full dosage. I always recommend starting them at quarter dosages and work up slowly to their needs. But if you do have a child that is suffering from cramps, whether that be on the field or off the field or at night, these are some wonderful products that can help support that. No muscle cramps. We just spelled it out, by the way, for our aging population. And you don't have to be, again, but it seems to be our aging population. Look at the Endure and they look at the 40,000 volts and they look at, and they see, on our literature that might have a biker, a hiker, a runner, a swimmer, and our aging population says, well, I'm not any of those now. I can't, I feel like I can barely do a lap around my, my kitchen table, but you still need these electrolytes. You still need that balance. So that no muscle cramp, we just spelled it out, put it out there for you so that you can feel comfortable giving that to your aging grandparent or, our parents, and they know what it's for. And it makes a world of difference. So I think that for those that are suffering from cramps, some of these, they're no joke, right? And I have some clinics that actually, will say that what is a muscle? What's the largest muscle in the body? And it's our heart. Well, if that has a muscle cramp, I think it's pretty safe to, that's one of the scariest muscle cramps we can have is in the heart. We call that a heart attack. But at the same time, I don't neglect nor do I overlook those twitches, spasms. I think they're warning indicators that we need to take very serious and make sure that we're getting proper hydration. And I'm a huge proponent of half your body weight in ounces of water daily. That's one way of simply not asking females what their weight is. We don't want to do that, but they can do that calculation for themselves and put that proper balance back into their bodies each day. Some will say, well, if I take too much, is it gonna, what's it gonna, is it gonna hurt me? And I'm gonna say right now, the worst case side effect with these, is a laxative response. And to me, that's a wonderful, support to our overall, health. But at the same time, for those that have a loose bowel to begin with, start very slow, work up, see where your body, see what your body's needs are. That electrolyte stamina tablet, I just showed you in that little visual. There's one tablet, okay? It just keeps getting brighter and brighter. But that one tablet, so whether it be in a tablet, some prefer tablets. They don't have to mix anything. They don't have to, they can just take it and be done with it. I think, and the question always comes up, do you think they're just as effective? And I do, I really do. Now, with that being said, that's a 6-tablet dosage. So I wouldn't start with 6. I would start very slow, might be 2 before a workout, 2 after a workout, or 1 before and 1 after, whatever, depending on how sensitive you believe you're, if you're dealing with a really sensitive system, why not just start with a tablet and work up from there? But that's a 6-tablet dosage to get that. And we can put a lot more in a tablet, by the way, than we can in a liquid. So those tablets can be very effective, especially if you have that loved one that doesn't want to mix anything in their water or in their juice or they just want to take it. I think that, again, they're very effective. It's been one of our top sellers for as long as I've been with the company, and I've been with them for just, I'm into my 34th year with the company, and that still remains one of our top sellers. Yep. So I'm an advocate. I'm a pusher of the tablet. I think it has its place, especially with our loved ones that have sensitive taste buds. Now, the Max Hydrates, I think you understand and recognize that delivery system, right? These are those tablet effervescents that you can break and drop into a bottle of water. And there's three different, I don't know, Elizabeth, and I just bring this up, just I wanted everybody across the board to know that Trace Minerals is an electrolyte company, right? We're probably one of the very first to come out with that electrolyte approach. But at the same time, it's because of the consumer base that's invited us into this arena of these different types of delivery systems. This is again one of those delivery systems that you're probably familiar with out there, a popular delivery system in another company. We just want them. We want a clean approach to this. So you have three different types of hydrates. We just have the max hydrate energy is the basic, and then we have an immunity um, hydrate, a max hydrate, which of course we just added vitamin C to that one. And then we have an energy uh, hydrate that of course has a caffeine that's coming from a green tea extract, 50 milligrams in a tablet to give you that little bit of extra bump that you might need to get yourself through a workout. So those would be that great way to just throw them into a backpack or a purse or anything very easy. I think that's another thing that a lot of these packets offer to our consumer is that easy deliveries, they're convenient, you can carry them in your pocket, take them everywhere you go.
Indeed. I tend to, if I see someone being like, "Oh, I'm so thirsty," I carry around trace mineral packets and I'm like, "Here, try this." And then the next time I see them, they're like, "What was that? That was amazing."
Yep. I do that on when I travel around the world for the company. I shouldn't say I just got back. I take them everywhere in my briefcase. When I see somebody that's in the back that's suffering from a cramp because they haven't hydrated properly, or, some of these flights can be up to 20 hours, right? It's amazing to me that they'll listen to a complete stranger, but they're in such a crisis that it's like, I have to address them. You don't know who I am, but I have something for you. I have a special gift that I want to give you. You can take it in your water. It's so basic, but right now, what do you have to lose? And I am not kidding you. If I can get this into the pilots, in the cockpit through the different channels that might go through, of course, um, if we make a change in a stewardess, they're going to make it to the cockpit. And it's always amazing when that individual taps me on the shoulder, and sometimes it's within the hour, taps me on the shoulder and says, "What did you just give me? And what was that?" And it makes that big of a difference. And so the question is always the same: how fast can they work? Well, they can work pretty fast depending on the needs that you find yourself in. So I too have had that experience where we can make some pretty amazing changes with individuals that are in they just don't know. They drink their soda the entire flight without any water, and then they wonder why they run themselves into the ground, right?
Yeah.
So
Aw.
neat things that we can do, especially when they're in a crisis like that. Not that we
In
want them to be in that crisis, but they're all in once they have that experience. And I love when I give them a business card and they reach back out and say, "Listen, I will never travel again without your, power." And what's interesting is that they won't try the different flavors. They only try the one that worked for them on the plane. They're very superstitious, it seems like, and it's like you have all these options, but you're not going to, that one worked, and they're going to stay with it. So, which is great.
Indeed. Also to let everyone know, we for the month of August, it's 20% off on trace mineral products. And I also wanted to share, I like to blend up ice and then do the pineapple coconut.
Ah, the pineapple
Have a
coconut
cute little straw. And it's
with
like,
with the straw, right?
oh yes. And
Pineapple
maybe a
coconut.
little umbrella.
By the way, and this is why we were listening to our customers, okay? We used that, the name on that used to be pina colada. And we changed it because mothers were saying, listen, I want to give this to my child, but when they ask what flavor it is, and I say pina colada and they associate that with other drinks, that's not good for my child. So we listened to that. We changed it to pineapple coconut, and it's fantastic in, like you said, crushed ice, or better yet, it's after it's after the party or after the other beverages flow, that this brings about the best drink to support you, to help you recover so that you can enjoy the next day, right? So they always ask, can I associate that? I would prefer that you do it away from it, put it in conjunction, when you're just drinking water. And I think you'll have a lot better experience, because we know that alcohol is a diuretic. It pulls and leaches those electrolytes out of you. You have to put them back in, and that's a part of that process that becomes fun and they can enjoy it. Now, for our teenagers that are listening, I'd highly recommend, don't drink alcohol. Drink your power packs. They're much healthier for you. Now, who would have thought that we would be talking about gummies in the nutritional industry, right? 34 years ago, I would have never, I just, again, sure, we had the Flintstones chewables and we all were raised on that if you're, my age and older. But here we have gummies, right? And we have this generation in which it's the 35 and younger that are pushing these gummies. And I want you to know, we're very serious about that age group. We're all in. We want to support them. We want to help them the best we can. Trace Minerals purchased a gummy company so that we could support the best ingredients, because there's only so much you can put in a gummy. Okay. So with this being said, 10 milligrams of calcium, 150 milligrams of chloride, 23 milligrams of sodium, and 100 milligrams of potassium, with the coconut water and 15 milligrams of the concentrates. Okay. And I just have to let you know, they taste great. They taste great. I would keep them away from children. That's why we put a protective top on it. There's 3 gummy servings. So again, everybody wants to take all 3 gummies at once. That's not how our electrolytes work, right? I would space those out, make it enjoyable, and give our kids a treat, 3 times throughout the day, not just at once, because I promise you they'll come back and ask for more. It's not a candy, it's an electrolyte support. So lemon lime is of course the first flavor we came out with, and the watermelon is the second. So we of course use there's no animal based products in the gummies. It's all, vegan. We talked about the keto really quick. We have the keto tablets, the keto powders, and the keto liquid. Again, those liquids, by the way, have no taste. What did I just say there? They should have no taste. Okay. I've addressed this a million times in my career as far as the taste of both the 40,000 volts, the Endure, and the keto liquid. If you dilute it properly, you should never taste it. And what I find interesting is that when you put it in, and I would start with 1 drop per ounce of fluid. So if you have a 16-ounce water bottle, start with 1 drop. Okay. And you can work up to the maximum dosage on the bottle, or you can work up to a maximum 3 drops per ounce. But here's what's interesting is that when you start to, if you were to, let's say, put 3 drops per ounce, if you taste that before you start to exercise and perspire, it's going to taste quite salty. But the minute you start to sweat, it loses its taste. It tastes just like water. And I love that, especially when we're in a gym setting, when, or in an athletic setting, when, some of these sports drinks, sometimes you see them at the end of the race or in the middle of the race and they take them and you start seeing vomiting, or, of course we can be quite sensitive to some of those tastes. But with this is a wonderful way to help support ourselves throughout the entire workout, right? I love a lot of our athletes focus on pre and post workouts, right? Pre and post supplements. I love to look at these as the entire, let's protect ourselves throughout the entire workout. So you can take your tablets, even your, tablets before and after workouts, but during the workout, you can put these powders and these liquids in your water, make it enjoyable. So we protect and support ourselves the entire workout, so we don't leave ourselves vulnerable. And I think that ultimately that's where some of these products could be increased to your own personal needs, depending on the volume of hydration, or think about that: increased respiration, increased perspiration, increased electrolyte needs. So these are some products that I believe that you can support yourself throughout the entire workout, not, or throughout the entire day, for that fact, throughout the entire day, not just at, before breakfast and after dinner. The one thing that trace minerals is absolutely, and I think that you and I spoke just before we come on, Elizabeth, is that trace minerals motto is that we believe that we can remineralize the world. Okay. And that's a pretty strong and bold statement, but we believe, whether that starts with one individual and one drop at a time, or one product at a, if we can make a difference with the one, they can share it with the world with us. So that's our approach to this. And what we try to do is make it very cost effective. Some of these sizes on these products, you can, again, you don't have to take them at maximum dose. You can split them up, make them use, make them work for you where you're at right now. You don't have to, like I said, you don't have to be an athlete to benefit from electrolytes. You can, all ages need them. And especially, I don't know about where you're, what your summer's been like, Elizabeth, in what, but it's been extremely hot and dry, even in, I reside in Virginia, and I I've never seen it so dry. So remember, there's 4 key pieces here that we want to focus on here when we're dealing with our health. Hydration, we have to put those minerals back. Got to put those electrolytes back. Nutrition, we have to put those supplements back, right? Movement, we have to move the body. That's a part of keeping us strong and healthy. And then we have to sleep. And I think you'll be amazed at, when we keep those electrolytes nice and balanced, how well we sleep. So even though it's going to help support the energy throughout the day, it'll also help support our sleep at night, which is so invaluable, because that's where all of our healing begins. I hope that if you have any questions for us, please don't hesitate to reach out, whether that be through you, Elizabeth, or anybody that gets to watch this in, in the days and weeks to come. Please reach out to us. Let us answer any questions that you might have. And we hope that you'll take our challenge and the guarantee, feel a difference, or we'll give you your money back. No questions asked.
Thank you so much, Dr. Starkey. I always appreciate your presentations. And I
No,
know all of those watching too as well. Um, I'm so grateful y'all have started to put the folate in there. It's really neato. And I I always forget about the hot water trick in the winter. So just
yeah,
getting in those electrolytes, our bodies are so cold from the cold weather outside, but it doesn't mean we can't stop staying hydrated.
Right.
And that's
And
always been my issue during
I,
the
I think
winter.
I think another one is that we have to we sometimes forget that coffee is a diuretic as well. It leaches and pulls our electrolytes. So, people they ask that question all the time. Can I put it in my coffee? Yes, you can put it in your coffee, but I would recommend putting it in after you enjoy your coffee. That way you can help support and sustain that balance, keep that balance throughout the entire day. But yeah, I think that just a neat reminder that we can in fact put hot water. I'd put, again, that's sippable, right? Don't boil it, but when it's ready to sip, just pour your power pack or one of your whatever you prefer into that water and use it like a cold and slip flu throughout the entire winter and support yourself because like I said, I think that there's more cases of dehydration during the winter time than there ever is during the summertime because when we're hot, we drink. When we're cold, we bundle up and eat, and that's not good for our electrolytes. Because again, if you're growing your own food and you're supporting, that soil, hey, you've got a better chance. But most importantly, putting those electrolytes back in year round is the best way to support our immune systems and our health and you know, live in the moment. And of course, if we can keep it from pay attention to those indicators, right? If you have any of those signs or indicators as far as don't let it become a full cramp. But I think if we're paying close attention, we know when we're probably dehydrated and need our electrolytes.
Definitely don't let it cramp your style. Stay
Yes.
hydrated.
Ah, and by the way, just to let you know, dehydration mimics the flu, right? Most people go into the hospital thinking that they have the flu, and in fact, they have dehydration. So,
Oh
again,
gosh.
yeah, yeah. So if you look at those indicators, they typically, dehydration, especially chronic dehydration, mimics the flu-like symptoms. And so we think we're sick, and we are in a sense, but instead of, make sure you hydrate, put those electrolytes back in before we jump to that conclusion and see how your body responds.
That is incredible. So, like all these people that are going in the winter thinking they have the flu to the hospital, but they're just so dehydrated. And then some people who don't even go into the hospital, they're still at a deficit all the way through spring and summer.
Absolutely. And I got to be honest, I would much rather spend the money on a supplement that will help support me than having money taken from my insurance to have an IV drip to hydrate me. I'd rather put that into nutrients than to solve a condition in which we have full control over.
I agree. No
So,
one likes to be in the hospital
no,
anyways.
our knowledge is our greatest power, and our food should be our first supplement, right? Our food should be let me repeat, food should be our first medicine. And at the same time, we have to supplement, we have to put it back in for ourselves.
We do. Well, Dr. Starkey, you're always keeping it men are real with us and sharing the great facts.
Well, I wished, like I said, I wish we were there in person. These demonstrations are so much fun, a lot of fun when we're live and in person. But I hope that this information helps one of you throughout the entire winter, more importantly, throughout the entire year. And we'd love to hear from you. We love to hear those success stories that making a simple adjustment can bring about such a health response that we love to hear about that. In fact, so much so that if you're willing to share those experiences with us, we'll send you a free bottle of your choice for that testimony and again, we're not going to use your name. We're not going to use but to share with others what you've experienced. We would love to support you by sending you that. And typically it's the same product that they've experienced it with, right? They don't want to change, but we're more than willing to share that information. By all means, we're going to share that with Elizabeth as well. But at the same time, we're all going to grow together because the greatest education that I've been given is from our end consumers and what they experience when they use the product.
Indeed. Bringing the unity back to the community.
I love that. Put that on a t-shirt. I'll wear it.
Yay! By the way, I love your t-shirt.
You like, I of course have to do that logo is dearest to my heart. So there are colors that I would probably never ever wear, but because it has the logo on it, I'm all in. It's amazing how many times we get compliments from some of these these shirts, and they can get quite um tropical, let's put it that way. So if you come and see us at one of the expos, chances are you're going to see about 15 of us all in the same attire with the same logo so that we stand out pretty good. So come by and visit.
Oh, yay!
So
Thank you so much, Dr. Starkey.
my pleasure. Thank you so much.
And thank you everyone who are watching, and stay tuned for more amazing classes with Dr. Starkey.
Look forward to it.
Me too.
Thank you, Elizabeth.